It's the next level.
Hmm? Ah!
So, are you a priest or aren't you? Yes. I am. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the shadow of the valley of death, I fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod, thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil. My cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Amen.
Welcome everyone into another episode of We Have to Go Back, Lost Revisited from the Next Level Podcast Network. I am Ben Beck.
And from the Podcastica Network, I'm Kristen Howe. Yeah, that's also my part.
It's all right. It's been we took a week off, so it's a little understandable.
I'm going to introduce myself, and that's it.
And that's all I'm going to do.
This episode, we are going to cover Season 2, Episode 10, the 23rd Psalm, otherwise known as Echo's Journey of Life.
Yes, this is I've watched this episode 3 times, believe it or not. I usually watch twice, but this is just such a fantastic episode, and it's mainly because of Echo.
Well, Echo's amazing.
Yes. So, and it's funny because now, like, I had it in my mind. We were talking about this while we were prepping for this episode, and for some reason I was just thinking of the episode with now Adewale is fantastic as Echo, but for some reason I just pictured him as Idris Elba.
Well, you should.
Well,
just start picturing everybody as Idris Elba in your mind, and your life gets so much better.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, so as you know by this point, this is a spoiler-full episode, so we will be talking about things from the past and the future of the series, but we're also going to be bringing you our top 5 points of the episode as well, and I am happy to finally announce we are working on our first guest for the podcast.
Yay!
So it's just a matter of getting confirmation and scheduling, but I'm very excited for who this potentially is that of the cast who's going to be joining us. So
I am too.
So one of my favorite characters from the series, and one we haven't even met yet in our rewatch, but it's good timing.
Yeah,
because we're about to.
Yeah, it is very wide-eyed character.
If that doesn't give it away. But let's jump into our top points of the episode.
You want to go first?
Sure, I can go first this time.
Yay! I beat you to it.
Yeah, you did, because I usually turn it over to you.
Yes, you do.
And let you do it. But you know what? Before I do that, I got to ask, how you feeling? Because I know we took a little break last week because you weren't feeling too well.
I wasn't even out of bed.
So which is understandable. It happens to all of us.
Yeah, no, I'm feeling a lot better. My voice will probably go in and out a little bit during this thing, but other than a really bad cough and exhaustion from that cough, I'm doing just fine. Thank you for asking.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear it. So, all right, jumping into our 5 points. I'm trying to see Which one do I want to start with? Because I obviously I want to talk about Echo and Charlie, but do I want to start with that?
I kind of want to get the minor stuff out of the way.
Yeah, I kind of do, but then when we do that, you take the risk of like one of the two of us taking one of our other larger points as we get to the end.
Oh, who cares? We just tag team it.
That's true. So you know what? I'm going to talk about. I'm looking at all my points, and for the most part, they're all about Echo.
Well, I can start off with a non-Echo point.
All right. Well, then we'll turn it back over to you, and we'll let you start it anyway. Michael
sucks.
Oh God. Okay. Is that it? That's the point?
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Oh, all right.
No, yeah. I mean, Michael is at that part of his character where you just want to chop off his hands. You know, just watching him with that computer and just knowing that it couldn't possibly be Walt, and any normal person would understand that. It's just maddening, you know, and I love that Locke kind of picks him out and says, yeah, I'll bet you're here to get a gun, right? And, you know, Michael doesn't really say anything. Michael's very transparent. There's not a lot of depth to this character, and I think that he thinks that he's real complicated, but he's just kind of gone into this, like, shifty mode. I don't know. I know it's coming, and I just hate Michael right now. And it sucks because I really do like Michael as a character as a whole, but right now he's going through a rough patch.
Well, and you're right. He is extremely transparent at this point. Like everybody should know, and the fact that Jack doesn't pick up on the fact that he's being suspicious, like if you look at that scene in the episode where he's sitting at the computer and he was talking to someone who very obviously is not Walt, and Michael's the only one that is oblivious to this, the fact that the computer didn't work until Michael sat down gives you a hint to one of two things. One, it's not Walt, and two, somebody is very obviously watching them.
Right, exactly. You're being watched. But, you know, to your point of what you were talking about with Jack not noticing, Jack doesn't pick up nuance. He's not a character that picks up the little things. He doesn't, if it's not like air horning into his face, he doesn't see it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know, look at the fact that Michael is sitting at the computer. You're in a hatch where there's records, there's videos, there's a bathroom, there's a shower, washer, dryer, like all this, you know, all these modern things that you don't have being stranded on an island, you now have now. And Michael is sitting at a computer with still 45 minutes left on the clock before he even has to put those numbers in. And You're sitting in front of a computer that apparently does nothing until you can put those numbers in. Why are you sitting there? You know, like, why are you not just like sitting back on the couch? You get a warning sound when it's time to put the numbers in. Why are you sitting at the computer? But yet Jack walks in and he's like, oh, he's sitting there. I guess that's normal. Like, Jack is just as oblivious to what Michael is doing as Michael is to the fact that he's transparent.
Right. It's Captain Obvious and the blind boy of the island.
Yeah.
Basically.
Pretty much. So this isn't one of my top 5 points, but kind of piggybacking on, you know, talking about Michael a little bit. One of the other things, this is just one of my other notes that I made, is the scene that I did find interesting with Michael was the scene with Locke teaching him how to shoot. Because I found it interesting that Michael went to somebody who he overly criticized and yelled at for teaching Walt. And now this is the man you're going to as your teacher.
Oh, I don't think that he was going to teach, to ask Locke to teach him how to use a gun. I think he was going to steal a gun and leave. And Locke just happened to be there, and he was changing the locks or changing the password, and Locke knew exactly what he was doing and probably said, let me at least teach you how to shoot before you go off into the jungle with your stolen gun.
Okay. All right. That makes a little more sense. But it's still,
you thought he was seeking out Locke and not the gun cabinet?
No. I knew he was seeking out the gun cabinet, but
okay.
And it's, but even still, with that point, I find it just a very interesting dynamic that maybe Michael didn't ask Locke to teach him, and it was Locke that offered. But it's still an interesting dynamic just to see Michael learning from someone he criticized at an earlier point for teaching.
Mm-hmm.
That's the point I was trying to get to.
Okay.
Was just that
yeah,
dynamic.
No, I do like that irony. Yeah.
So
I think that's a good point.
Yeah. Going into I guess my number 5 with this. This is very obviously an Echo-centric episode, and we get that Echo-centric backstory, and we find out throughout the course of this episode that Echo is indeed a very bad man. But it's
I'm a bad man. Sorry. That's just all I got when you said that.
It's an interesting dynamic to look at when you look at the situation of how he became that way. He was not a bad person by nature. He became a bad person due to situation. He actually became a bad person by doing a good deed in some ways. You look at the situation where it was actually Yemi who had the gun put in his hand and was told to shoot the old man when they were kids. And it was Echo who basically took control of the situation, grabbed the gun and did it so that his brother would not become that person. So for Echo to become that bad of a man because of protecting somebody else, I thought was a very interesting character point for Echo.
Well, I liked what he said. I thought that one of the most important scenes in Echo's backstory was the scene that he had with Yemi in the church when Yemi was telling him what a bad man he was, and that, just saying that he did it because he needed to survive wasn't enough. And Echo makes a really excellent point of saying, I saved you. You couldn't pull that trigger. I pulled the trigger. I went in your place. And everything that's happened to him since that moment has been for him to survive. And he was a kid. And so after a while, survival becomes your way of life. And then he becomes the person that he is because of the circumstances that he's under. And Yemi judging him for that and telling him that there's no salvation or redemption for him because of what he did for his brother, I thought was more telling of Yemi than it was of Echo.
Yeah, that's very true. I didn't even really think of it that way, of it being more telling of Yemi. But you know what? I think there's another key scene in his backstory that kind of explains the same thing, and almost kind of puts a point in the fact that Echo has been... I think while he is a bad man, and it was because of protecting Yemi, I think deep down, Echo has been a character who has, even in his backstory, has kind of always been searching for redemption, but didn't really have a way about it. And one of the scenes in his backstory that I think really shines a light on that is the scene where he is doing the drug deal with the two gentlemen about how I will take your product, I'll buy it from you, you're not going to have a way to sell it. And, when they say it's true what they say about you, you have no soul, and he slices their throats. And that child sees him, and he lets the child go. The fact that he tells the child, tell everyone Mr. Echo let you go, I think in some ways is him trying to tell himself, I still have good qualities. I let this child live. I want everyone to know it, too.
Yeah, yes. I mean, I think that he more than anybody in that room, he was an older kid when he was taken from his village. So I think that also makes a difference, that he's able to remember what he had to do to protect his brother. And he understands that, children shouldn't be used in this world that he was, kidnapped into, abducted into.
Yeah.
And he doesn't want the same to happen for this child. So maybe it is a warning or a way of telling the other children that Mr. Echo won't take you. He won't take the kids. He's not going to hurt the kids because he didn't hurt me, but he hurt the bad men.
Yeah. But again, I still think too, part of that is him kind of... I think you're right. I think that is him his way of letting everybody know that I won't take children the way that he was taken as well. But I also think it's because and this might just be me, but I think it's in part that he wants to kind of prove to himself he still has good qualities.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Like that he's still human. I think that you're absolutely correct on that one. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, again, that goes back to my point of I think the entire time he's been searching for a little bit of redemption. It's just he's in such an impossible situation that the chances of that happening are very few and far between, if almost non-existent. And he saw one, so he took it.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So
definitely.
How about you? Your second point.
So let's see. Well, we can either stay with Echo or we could go to Charlie. We'll stay with Echo.
Okay.
So, one of my favorite scenes in this entire episode was when Echo stares down the smoke monster.
Ooh, that's one of mine too. So I'm just gonna piggyback.
Cool. He's sorry. Cool.
All right, I'll bet.
I got excited. What I love about this is that we've seen the smoke monster try to kind of poke at different people throughout the series, and one of, I think, the most memorable ones was when the smoke monster actually grabbed Locke and tried to pull Locke into a hole. And Locke was terrified. But he also, that was, the second time that Locke had been confronted by the smoke monster, because I think the first time he was confronted, the smoke monster actually, stopped right in front of his face, much like it did with Echo, and Locke stared it down as well, and nothing happened to him. But we didn't really see what happened once the smoke monster got into Locke's face, because it cut to commercial, I think, and then the next time it wasn't there anymore, if I remember correctly.
I think you're right. I think that's pretty accurate.
So this time we got to see, kind of from Charlie's point of view, kind of what was happening between Echo and the smoke monster. And what I loved is that, Charlie's up in the tree and he's like, dude, you need to run. What the fuck are you doing? And then and he just stares at it, and the way he stares at it, it's calm. It's not confrontational. He's not saying come at me, bro, or anything like that. It's more that he's just staring at this smoke monster, kind of like he knows he has no control over what happens next, but he's not fearful of it either. And I think that that's really what Echo's character is all about. It's just, he's been that bad man. He's been a priest. He's on this, journey to find his brother right now. Nothing seems to be stopping him to get to his brother. And this black smoke monster is just kind of in his way. So he's just going to calmly wait until the smoke monster decides what to do with him. And I love the thought of the shot of the smoke monster turning around through its own smoke and going back into the jungle. I thought that was really beautifully done.
Well, I mean, I think a couple other things that are very interesting to point out too is, you're right. I like how he kind of confronts the smoke monster with no intimidation, but yet at the same time, no fear. And we've made comparisons from Echo to Locke many times already. And I believe there's even still more to come before we see the story of Echo wrap up. And you're right. I think it's very fitting that the second character to confront the smoke monster is Echo when the first one to do it was Locke. Because these are two characters that are very similar. Where Locke confronted the smoke monster, he did have fear in his eyes. Yeah, that was the first time we saw Locke legitimately terrified, was staring this smoke monster in the face, whereas Echo had no fear whatsoever. And I think that's because Locke was still searching for something. Echo is searching for something. I don't think Locke knew what he was searching for. Echo knows what he's searching for. He has a purpose. And he's not going to let anything stand in his way. Not even this smoke monster. But I also think there's two other points to be made with this scene. The first is this is the first time we're seeing the smoke monster in this degree. This is the first time through the course of the series we are getting a really good look at the smoke monster. We've seen, I think, like bits and pieces of it, but we've never seen it to this degree.
I don't know that I agree with that. I mean, we saw them take out the pilot.
I've looked it up. This is the first time we are getting a full view of the smoke monster.
You mean like through the smoke and that big? I like that. You mean that shot where they went like full circle around Echo and the smoke monster?
Well, no, I mean like to even not through that, like seeing that far away shot of Echo confronting the smoke monster and seeing the smoke monster in full. This is the first time we've seen that. We've only seen maybe small pieces of the smoke, like something reaching out and grabbing Locke, or something grabbing the pilot. We've seen that, but this is the first time we're seeing it in full over the course of the series.
I'll believe you on that.
The other thing, though, I don't know, because you haven't brought it up, so I don't know if it's something you've even noticed before.
The angel inside the smoke monster?
It's not an angel. It's the faces of people from his past. Yemi's face, as well as a couple of the other people that he has dealt with in his past. They are the faces of... Oh,
that's interesting, because in the wiki, it says if you slow it down frame by frame, it's an angel.
Oh, really? Because I have the wiki up right now. And it said... it says, when Echo stares down the monster, many faces from his past are visible inside the smoke monster when freeze-framed.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yep. So, and I hadn't noticed that before too, but reading the wiki, it made it even more.
I didn't see any of it.
You didn't see any of it?
I saw lightning, and I was paying attention to Echo.
Now, I mean, here's my question to you though. What do you think was the driving force behind the smoke monster? Do you think this was the smoke monster scanning him? Or do you think this was him getting ready to confront him, and now Echo not being one of the chosen ones, it just avoided him and let him on to his own fate?
Well, Goodwin said that the others were only taking people on a list that had been checked out and that were good people, and that Echo, while he was strong, wasn't a good person. And we know after this episode that Echo, indeed, before the island, wasn't really a good person. He was on a redemptive path. He had gone to I think London to do his brother's training, and he had tried to take over the church. And I mean, he was trying to do some things that we'll find out later in the series what he was trying to do when we learn more about him. But up until now, the information that we've been given about Echo is that he was a warlord. And he's killed a lot of people, and he pretended to be a priest to move drugs out of Nigeria, even though it was probably for, a quote-unquote good reason. He was still moving drugs, pretending to be an ordained priest, that he forced his brother to ordain him. So, the fact that he wasn't taken by the others on that first night or the second or the third night, and the smoke monster came to see, probably, I think you're right, he probably came to scan him or to size him up, which is why, all the faces appeared in the smoke monster as kind of like a, I think scan is the best word. So, yeah. Well, and then he went away. So it's possible that he went away going, this isn't the guy that we're looking for. Like, he seems like he's a good dude, but he's not the one that we're looking for. I think that the smoke monster has made its decision on Locke.
Well, yeah, I mean, because, and I think you might actually have a valid point when it comes to, what Goodwin says about somebody being a good person versus being a bad person. Because the first time the smoke monster runs into Echo, he has not yet come to terms with, a redemption. So that comes a little bit later in the episodes. He still kind of, to that point, is still unsure, which makes him a little bit of a bad person. the next time, and this is a little bit of a spoiler, the next time Echo comes in contact with the smoke monster, the results are very different. Very different. Because it is indeed the smoke monster that is due to his demise.
I know what you're talking about. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. You're right. I totally forgot about that till right now.
And at that point, he has come to terms with his redemption. So, the first time he meets the smoke monster, yes, he is still sort of a bad person. The second time, he's a good person.
I think Echo has a role on the island. I think that the smoke monster knows that his role has not been fulfilled yet. And Echo's role on the island is exclusively for Locke.
Okay.
Personally, yeah. I think that it's to Locke is going to have a crisis of faith, and Echo's going to be the one that restores that faith before he ultimately dies.
So you think maybe the smoke monster decides that he's still needed. So it might not be the fact that he has a purpose of his own. His purpose is to help one of the other chosen. Which Locke is indeed one
absolutely.
of the chosen.
Yes, I think that's correct.
So until he's fulfilled that role of assisting one of the chosen, he's still needed.
I think that's right.
Okay. It makes total sense to me. I mean, it's one of those things that is just another one of these mysteries of the island that is just so intriguing to watch.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah, definitely.
So, cool. All right, so that was me.
What's your number?
Well, that
4?
was me piggybacking off your number 4.
Oh, cool. Okay.
So, what's your number 3?
So I'm going to talk about Charlie for a second. And look, once an addict, always an addict. Always an addict. Even before the statue is smashed, even before Echo finds out about the statue, and we're looking at Charlie with Jin. And addicts are selfish, man. They are selfish people. And, he's in the ocean and he's, singing the Kink song and, and Jin's like, hey, man, quiet. Like, the fish are not here because of you. And Charlie's like, yeah, man, thanks. I do think I have a wonderful voice. And it's like, he can't, and it's funny because he's clueless, but it goes to kind of his theme for the whole episode. He's so self-centered. He's so obsessed that he can't see like how he affects other people, how he affects, the happenings around him. And then that just seems to get worse and worse as the episode goes in. Echo comes up to him and says, where did you get this statue? And you're going to take me to this statue. And Charlie immediately starts lying. He's like, okay, yeah, we'll go for a stroll. We'll do it first thing in the morning. He goes, no, we're going to go right now. Okay, well, let me go talk to Claire first. Fine, we'll do it on the way. Like, Echo was perfectly paired with Charlie in this episode because Echo is so no nonsense. And he's like, and he can smell a lie from a moment from a mile away, just because that was kind of his job, more or less, when he was in Nigeria. So, when Charlie takes him to that tree, Echo's just like, no, you're lying to me. And Charlie's trying to deflect and trying to get and put it on him and get mad. And he's able to set Charlie straight, and he keeps Charlie going. And it's like he's not giving Charlie an inch, where I think everybody on the island has been treating him kind of with kid gloves.
I was just going to say kid gloves is a perfect way to say that.
Yeah, I mean, more or less, everybody that's come in contact with him, they know that he is an addict and that he had to basically get clean on the island. And when the statue is shattered in front of Claire, he immediately starts lying to Claire. He's like, well, I didn't know what was in it, right? And Echo calls him out perfectly later in the episode, and he says, when you said also, what did he say? Hang on, I wrote it down. He said...
It was something along the lines of, what did you mean... Yeah,
what did you mean by also? It was something with also, because I remember I I accidentally spelled also wrong. I'm like, why did I spell also wrong? I know that sound. Oh, take me to the plane. He also knows Charlie lied to Claire. So that's what I wrote. Come on, Kristen. You can't write anything more than that. But he said something about, why did you say that that you didn't know what was in it, but when he found out that it was broken, he wanted to go. That's it. He wanted to go tell Claire about the statue so that she didn't get the wrong idea.
That's right. What did you mean by the wrong idea?
What did you mean by the wrong idea?
Yeah.
And Charlie's like, well, I don't understand. So Echo's picking up on his lies without Charlie even realizing that he's lying as he's lying. And he likes to blame it. He blames his brother for his addiction. While they're walking through the jungle, he blames Echo for getting him into trouble with Claire. He blames, he blames the whole world other than looking at what his actions are doing. And then at the very end of the episode, what do we see? He has like at least half a dozen of these statues buried in a secret hole in the ground. And there's shame written all over his face. He knows that he can't get rid of this, but it also has proved that he's lying. He may be clean, but he hasn't kicked the habit. He's still holding on to it. That's like, I used to be a smoker, and I used to always have a pack of cigarettes hidden in the house for years. I never touched them, but I had them, and they were in my house. And it wasn't until probably about 2 years ago that I finally got rid of that pack. I said, I don't need this as a crutch anymore. And I haven't had the need to stash my secret shame cigarettes in my house ever since.
Well, that was the point I had made a couple weeks ago too, when it came to Charlie and the Virgin Mary statues, was the fact that he may not necessarily be using them or have plans to use them, but and he fully admits it in this episode too, that it made him feel better to have it around, because as you mentioned with the cigarettes, it was a crutch. Mm-hmm. That was a point I had made a couple weeks ago, and that's exactly what they were for him. I don't think he had any intention on actually using them, but the fact of knowing that he had it if he wanted to was in some way, shape, or form a form of relief to him. It was easier for him to be free of using, knowing he had it if he could, than it was to be free of using, knowing that if he wanted to, he couldn't anyway. Mm-hmm. Which I guess that's part of the mindset of an addict, is the fact of knowing you can if you want to, but you won't, is more relieving than knowing you can't even if you wanted to.
I don't know. I mean, if he's in a real world situation, he can get drugs on the corner any day of the week. I can go down to 7-Eleven and I can go pick up a pack of cigarettes. I don't, because I've kicked it.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm the same way too. And
I'm not saying heroin is cigarettes, okay? I'm not saying that at all. Heroin is its own addiction. It's its own beast, and it's just awful. It's awful. I've seen heroin addiction. It's awful. But the fact that he's on this island, he's got a fresh start. I hate it that he's still lying. And he doesn't even have to lie. If he could have been upfront with Claire and been like, yeah, I didn't want you to get the wrong idea about this. I did know that was in there. I was on a plane with Saeed. I don't know why I kept it, but I kept it. Claire I believe this character, Claire, would have been more understanding of that because it was the truth than being lied to on top of finding out that drugs have been around her infant child.
Yeah. You know what? On that note, too, that actually is my number 3, and I'm going to kind of piggyback
do it.
On the whole Claire and Charlie situation.
Because I don't want to talk anymore.
I think the whole situation with Claire and Charlie at the end, it is a very sad situation because we know how Charlie feels about Claire. So, but at the same time, it's a little bit of a double-edged sword, in my opinion, because on one hand, you've got Claire, and she doesn't want Charlie, who is a former addict, who has drugs in his possession. I don't even really think it's completely about the fact that Charlie is an addict and could start doing drugs. It's the fact that not only is he an addict, he has the drugs. It's the fact that Charlie and the drugs are both around Aaron. Because this Virgin Mary statue has been with Charlie the whole time, and Charlie has been with Aaron. Mm-hmm. So I completely understand, not even having kids of my own, still completely understand Claire's decision to not want Charlie anywhere around her child.
She's lucky she didn't pummel him to death.
Yeah. As a parent, I would imagine I would be completely the same way.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it is a double-edged sword, because the one thing that was keeping Charlie clean and making him want to be a better person just left him.
But see, that's the thing, that you cannot hang your recovery on another person. It has to be your own journey.
Oh, I understand that completely.
So he has to be on his own now. And I think that that's important for Charlie right now, is that I think he's always had Claire, taking care of Claire and then taking care of Aaron, and always having that since he got on the island as his reason for being clean. And I think now he has the drugs, they're stashed away somewhere, and now he's been kicked out on his ass. It's time for Charlie to start being okay with Charlie.
Oh yeah, and
that's how you get clean.
And I think you're absolutely right. I think this was, while it is a double-edged sword, this is something that was very important that needed to happen to Charlie.
Right.
Because you're right. He had the Virgin Mary statue, and he was using it. He claimed that he had it as a crutch to keep him. It made him feel better, and it was keeping him clean. When in reality, the crutch was Claire and Aaron.
Right.
And now he doesn't have that crutch. He needs to kick that crutch, because the crutch literally just kicked him. Or figuratively, just kicked him. So you're right.
Yeah.
It is a good revelation that the fact that the crutch indeed was not the statue, it was Claire and Aaron.
Mm-hmm.
And he doesn't have it anymore to hold up on him. And I think we are going to see a little bit of a dark turn for Charlie for a little while, but it does, in essence, make him stronger in the long run. It's just going to be a little time.
And he has his friend Desmond is coming.
Oh, that's right. Desmond's coming back soon.
Yeah, I'm excited.
I forgot about that.
I'm excited.
You're going to die, Charlie. I used to quote that line all the time, even to people whose names weren't Charlie. I used to quote that line all the time. But so that was my number 3. What about you? What's your number 2?
So my number 2 is actually, it's small, but at the very end of the episode, I noticed that this community of survivors have really developed kind of this normalcy on the island, stuff that you see in everyday life when you're not deserted on an island. Neighbors come over to meet the new resident, like Jin and Sun. They come over and they give her a welcome gift of a fish, and Jin says, "This is my wife," and they shake hands. You have Hurley that comes over to help with a yard project, with Libby, and it's like this neighborhood community stuff that I just recently moved to a new state and a new neighborhood in the past 6 months, and this is all stuff that has happened to me in my new neighborhood. I've had neighbors come over and they give me a little welcome basket, or after the hurricane, another one of my neighbors climbed up on my roof and he fixed my roof for me. Much like Hurley and Libby, you have, Jack, the neighborhood doctor, comes by to drop off the daily pills for Sawyer. And then you have that one rogue couple on the internet that, the drug addict has just been kicked out of the house of the single mom. So,
you're right. It really is like a neighborhood.
Yeah. So it's just funny how they wrapped up this episode, but to me, it emphasized that, life is always going to find a way to normalize no matter where you are. And there's something really comforting about that.
Yeah, it's and not only that, but you forgot to mention that we have one neighbor cutting another one's hair.
Yeah, see, you got the barber shop down
Yep.
the beach a little bit.
And I don't know if you thought about this or not, but in the scene with Hurley helping Libby build her hut, um, yeah, Libby is in for a rude awakening the first rain that beach gets.
Yeah.
Because that roof being flat and being a tarp is going to collect rain and collapse all over her.
Well, you gotta learn your lessons. New home ownership is it's a tough gig, man.
I just love the fact that you're equating building a tarp on the beach to new home ownership.
It is. It's new home ownership.
It really is. It's the island's version of new home ownership.
I'm telling you, man, it's just, I was totally struck by it today, and I just had a little chuckle about it, and I wanted to include it in my notes for today.
I find it interesting too, and it was kind of, while it was such a light-hearted scene, it was also kind of depressing at the same time, the scene with Jin and Sun giving Ana Lucia the fish, because I think at that point you could tell the writers were ready to start incorporating her as part of this group.
I'm glad that you bring this up because I wanted to talk about this for a second. I read an article a couple weeks ago by one of the showrunners. I can't remember which one, but they talked about Ana Lucia's exit and Michelle Rodriguez. So before Michelle Rodriguez came on the show, Michelle Rodriguez had a meeting with Damon Lindelof and whatever his name is, Carlton Cruz, I think.
Carlton Cruz, yes.
Thank
Cruz.
you.
Yeah.
And said that she didn't want to be on for more than a season because she likes to be a nomadic actress. She doesn't like to stay too long in her jobs. She likes to kind of bounce around. And her arc was always set as exactly this. But at the end of it, when they were filming halfway through, when her and the actress that played Libby got their DUIs and got into all that trouble, Michelle Rodriguez actually called them, or no, the showrunners called Michelle Rodriguez and said, "This is going to look bad. This is going to look like we killed you off. What do you want to do? Do you want to stay on for like a half a season more and then we'll complete your character, or do you want to keep it as it is?" And Michelle Rodriguez said, "Just keep it as it is." So they had a discussion about it, and apparently she was only supposed to be on for that amount of time.
Okay, so that was actually, in essence, that was her total arc. That was going to be her story no matter what happened.
No matter what happened.
That's interesting. I didn't know that.
And her DUI actually complicated matters because they didn't want to face the backlash that is still happening. I mean, we've talked about it a lot on this podcast. That is still happening 10 years later.
So I wonder if that's the same case with Cynthia Watros as well. If that was originally supposed to be when she was supposed to be killed off, and it just happened to be total coincidence that two actresses that were supposed to be killed off at the same time just both happened to get DUIs.
Yeah, I don't know about Libby, but I do know about that about Michelle Rodriguez.
I guess maybe it does play off a little bit more of as a shocking exit too, when you consider the fact that, like I mentioned, they were starting to make her feel welcome, they were accepting her into the group, and then for her to be killed off would come as a little bit more of as a shock, because you're really starting to get in your mindset, oh, I really started to like her.
Right.
And then killed her off. And especially now knowing that that's not the case of the DUI being the cause of this.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right. It makes me look at her character a little bit differently now as we're watching forward. Me
too. I watched that scene with fresh eyes this week.
Yeah, that's interesting. I'm going to be looking at it a little bit differently as we progress forward. Even though I think there's only maybe 3 or 4 more episodes. There's like 5 or 6 more episodes with her.
Yeah, there's more. She's on for a little bit more.
Because we don't even meet Henry Gale for another 4 episodes. And then it's because it's at his order that what happens to her happens.
Right.
So, yeah. So we still have a little ways to go with Ana Lucia and Libby. So I'm more heartbroken. Ana Lucia, I was disappointed with her death because I was really starting to grow to like her character. Libby's character, on the other hand, I was more disappointed because of another character. It was more heartbreaking for me to see Hurley.
So beaten up about it
because of what happens to Libby. Because we start to see that connection spark this episode in that whole new home ownership scene.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's I'm glad you brought that up because I had no idea about that at all. I was still under the impression she was written off because of a DUI.
Yeah, I'll try to find the article and I'll send it to you. You can post it up in the Facebook group.
Okay, yeah, we can post that for other listeners to check out as well.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was your number 2. My number 2 is as well something. See, I have 3 things left. I actually marked off a top 6, and I kind of want to get to all 3 of them. All right, I'll save this one for notes, but we'll talk about this one instead as my number 2. I find it very interesting in that, and my last 2 both are Echo as well. So going back to talking about Echo again, we get the whole progression through the episode of him trying to find his brother and knowing that the plane is on the island because of the Virgin Mary statues. And this is kind of quick, but I find it very interesting, and I make a comparison that when he finds his brother finally, when he finds the beechcraft, and he finds his brother inside, collects the cross, and he's come to terms with, his brother's death and being the cause of it, and he burns the plane. He, at the moment that the plane is burning, and he says the 23rd Psalm, and he says, yes, he is a priest when Shirley asks him about it. The plane being on fire, to me, is a form of baptism by fire. He has become a new person in burning this plane. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I could see your point of view on that. This was actually my number 1. So,
okay.
Yeah. So I think a lot of this is just he finally got closure on what happened to his brother. His brother was shot right before they got on the plane, and he never knew if his brother survived or not. He never knew what happened. And I'm sure that when he saw that Virgin Mary statue, I can see why that would put me in a tailspin. Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
And, but at this final scene that you're talking about right now is it could be baptism by fire. It could also be the fact that he's picking up his brother's mantle for real now. He's not impersonating his brother anymore because his brother's dead. He doesn't have to impersonate his brother anymore, but he can pick up his brother's mantle and he can continue on his brother's path. And just like he had been doing since childhood. I mean, if you think about it, he took his brother's place in this Nigerian gang. And he was on his brother's path for his brother. And now his brother is dead, and he has been ordained as a priest, and now he's going to take his brother's path for the rest of his life.
That's interesting. I didn't even put that together, that this is the second time he is taking his brother's place.
It's actually the 3rd time, because we find out in later episodes that after the plane left, he does run his brother's church, and he goes to London to go do the classes that his brother was going to take as his brother. So he was impersonating his brother there, but I think that this is when he actually takes up his brother's mantle, and he follows down the path that his brother should have gone down.
Yeah, I mean, in some ways too, his brother took his place. It was against his brother's will. It was against Yemi's will, but Yemi did take his place at one point as well when it came to the escape.
Or was he picking up the path that he was supposed to go on and die all those years ago?
Oh, that's an interesting way to put it too. This is just a course correction of life.
Correct.
The other thing I was going to use as one of my tops, and I was going to bring in the notes, I'll kind of bring in now, because there's a particular scene where when they find the one guy in the gold tooth guy in the tree, and Echo pulls him down.
Yeah.
I think he's actually listed as Goldie in the credits, which is funny. It would be a clever nickname considering he's got that gold teeth. Charlie asks him, did you know this man? Did you know him? And he said, yes, that man saved my life. And then in a later scene, we see that is the man that physically kicked him out of the plane.
Correct.
I think this is a situation that became something different. I think this was a situation where Goldie kicked him out of the plane. I think is maybe a power move,
Yes.
but Echo looks at it now in retrospect that it saved his life.
Yeah, because then after that he was able to completely shed Mr. Echo and be Father Echo.
Yeah, I think at the time Echo looked at it as a betrayal, but now, yeah, he looks at it as a move. It intentionally, or I don't know if that's not the word I'm looking for, but it indirectly saved his life.
Mm-hmm.
Because if not for that, he would have been the one on the plane that was dead right now.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, I think he looks at it now in retrospect that while it was a power move by Goldie, like he was going to get on the plane, he was going to have all the drugs and all the money, and Echo was going to get left behind to be arrested. But in retrospect, it saved his life.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, I agree. I love that you just put it that way, because I think that's exactly what the intention of all of it was. I love how all the paths seem to just kind of intersect and redirect and go down all these different, situations, and then eventually in that big pivotal scene at the plane, everything went back to probably how it was supposed to go originally.
yeah, it was life course correcting to the way it should have been.
Mm-hmm.
So you had your number one already, right? You kind of...
Yes.
Okay, so that leaves me with my number one, and this is actually the final note that I have.
Oh, cool.
And this is actually, I'm glad I got to save this for number one, because I think there's kind of a little bit to break down here. Cool. And I want to dive back into the whole Echo and Charlie dynamic of this episode. Because in my opinion, upon like second and third viewing of this episode, there really is no better character you could have paired Echo up with than Charlie.
Agreed.
In this situation.
Yep.
You kind of touched on it a little bit, when it comes to Charlie putting the blame on his brother for being a drug addict and such. But if you think about it, there are a lot of similarities between these two characters. Mm-hmm. A lot of similarities. You've got two characters who both have had rough relationships with their brothers directly tied to drugs.
Yeah.
Echo has a bad relationship with Yemi because of the fact that he is a drug warlord. And you have Charlie, who has a bad relationship with his brother because it's his brother that got him addicted to drugs.
I don't think that Echo was a drug lord. I think he was a warlord. I think that he was trying to get the drugs out of Nigeria because he said in the beginning of that flashback that there is no market for drugs in Nigeria.
So you think he was moving it? He was buying the drugs.
He was getting them to get them out of Nigeria as a favor to this drug lord, because the drug lord couldn't sell the drugs in Nigeria because there wasn't a market for it.
Okay, so you don't think he was... Well, but at the same time, he was still going to use them to make a profit by selling them out of Nigeria. So maybe he wasn't intentionally a drug lord and more a warlord. I would agree with that too, because I mean he definitely was a warlord at the same time. Mm-hmm. Maybe this was just an effort to potentially find a new market for himself. Because
maybe, yeah.
Because he still did have every intention of selling those drugs out of Nigeria. So maybe it's a little bit of both. Maybe he saw an opportunity to get drugs out of Nigeria so that he can control them, but yet still make a profit.
Yeah, no, drugs definitely come into play with each of these characters' complicated sibling relationships. I was just clarifying. I don't know, just warlord versus drug lord. I mean, it's really splitting hairs after a while. Either way, you're a bad dude.
Yeah. It's while drugs are incorporated with both of these characters, the difference and the contrast between the two is while both have, these bad relationships with their brother because of drugs, the dependencies are different.
Oh, yeah, you're
Charlie's dependency is on the drugs themselves, while Echo's dependencies are the trafficking of the drugs.
Yep.
Echo is not, he doesn't do the drugs. He'll taste them to make sure they're good, but that's as far as he goes. It's kind of the same thing, like dealers don't do their own stash.
Echo got the heroin that Charlie will eventually use.
That's true. It is one, well, they're not because of the other.
No, I know I was making a joke.
But at the same time, too, one of the other stark, comparisons between these two characters is the religion. And, the one thing we haven't even brought up yet with this episode is Charlie has his religious crutch of the Virgin Mary statue. While, yes, it is a drug crutch, it is a religious crutch for him, too. While Echo has his quote-unquote Jesus stick. They both have their religious symbols that they keep with them.
You gonna beat me with your Jesus stick?
Yes. And one of the other things I wanted to bring up, too, I don't know if you noticed this or not, but in the scene that I called the baptism by fire, when they are quoting the 23rd Psalm, have you noticed they say it wrong?
No, because I don't read Old King James Version. So I didn't pay close attention to it once I realized it was the Old King James.
Oh, I don't either. I'm not an overly religious person at all, but I still know that Psalm. And there is a mention there. They actually do say it incorrectly. At one point they say it's, oh God, I was supposed to have this queued up and I didn't. The Psalm goes the valley of the shadow of death. But they actually say the shadow of the valley of death. They swap the words. So I think it's, I don't know if that was done intentionally to kind of differentiate it, or if it was just a mistake on the part of the writers. But they actually say the psalm incorrectly.
Did you look at the Old King James Version and...
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I did look into it, and they do say it incorrectly.
Huh.
So I don't know if there's any deeper meaning behind that, or if it was literally just kind of like a writing issue that they said wrong. Again, it's only 2 words. Mm-hmm. That the meaning is still there. It's just, it's just that they say incorrectly. But yeah, in my opinion, there really wasn't a better person that you could have teamed up with Echo when it came to this situation. I mean, you could have very easily used Saeed instead, but the dynamic of the characters would not have been nearly the same.
No, Saeed would have been boring because they both would have been silent. Saeed would have been accepting of whatever was happening, and they'd probably talk about, some stuff in their cool accents.
And it wouldn't have made Saeed any better of a character as it did Charlie.
Well, I'd say that Charlie kind of fared a little worse off by the end of the episode.
That's true. It's but okay, it wouldn't have been as character developing for Saeed.
Absolutely.
As it is Charlie.
I completely agree with you. I imagine that Saeed is, screaming into the ocean right now or something like that. It's just, Saeed's in a dark place.
Yes, he is.
We haven't seen him. We haven't seen him this episode.
Yeah. So, any other additional notes on your end? Like I said, I don't have anything else.
I don't know. I'm good.
Okay. All right. Well, that's easy enough then. We do have some listener feedback, and we're going to get to that. But before we do that, we want to let you guys know, encourage you guys to do so, and let you know exactly how you can leave us feedback when the time comes. And again, as I mentioned, we do encourage you to do that. There are multiple ways you can leave us feedback. First and foremost, we are on Facebook at facebook.com/Lost Revisited.
We're on Instagram at Lost Revisited Pod.
You can email us at lostrevisitedpod@gmail.com.
And if you want to leave a message, you can record yourself and send it to our email address, or you can privately messenger us or DM us on Instagram.
Yes. So as I mentioned, we have two forms of feedback, both from our friends Des Combs and Steve Brown. So which one do you want to start with? Do you want to start with Des or do you want to start with Steve? I'll leave it up to you.
Let's do Des. I always save Steve for last on my other podcast. So let's continue the trend here.
All right, sounds good. So we'll start then with our voicemail feedback from our buddy Des.
Hi guys, this is Des calling about the 23rd Psalm. But before I get into the episode, I just want to send out a thank you to Ben and Kristen, with your show. Every once in a while I get down and listening to your podcast just perks me right up. Especially this last episode that you did. I don't know what was going on with you two. Maybe too much to drink. Maybe Kristen had a few too many Skittles and was hopped up on the sugar. But you guys had me laugh crying the whole show. And I just wanted to let you guys know I appreciate it. And want everybody else out there listening, and I know you are, to send in your comments and your voicemails. I'm sure Ben and Kristen would appreciate it. With the episode, a very huge episode for Echo. All the way from his first flashback, which is him basically sacrificing his innocence to save his brother, all the way to his encounter with the smoke monster, where he just basically stares it down. That's strength. And I know Echo, back in Nigeria, does a lot of horrible, terrible things, but at the core of it, he's just trying to protect his brother and trying to protect his people there and keep the drugs out of Nigeria. So I do understand his relationship with that plane full of drugs. But come on, man. It's a plane full of heroin. It's a bad thing. But heroin can be used, if I'm not mistaken, for pain management. And you're stuck on an island with not a lot of resources. I'm sure that Jack could have found a use for at least some of that. There was another huge waste of resource on this episode with Michael and John. I mean, come on. You're doing target practice. What do you use for a target? Some garbage, some driftwood, just something you don't need. You don't use a big jug of ranch dressing. That's food. That's calories that could get somebody through the day. So what do? You just, pump some bullets into it and waste it. Yeah, come on, Michael. Come on, John. Idiots. Some things I had completely forgotten about. I forgot about Claire and Charlie's rift after the discovery of the drugs. I completely forgot that even happened. I don't remember how long it goes on, so that'll be something for me to watch for. And I had completely forgotten that he had stashed all of those Mary statuettes with the drugs in them, so... Bad Charlie. Bad Charlie. And I'm ashamed to say I completely did not catch the whole reference of the Aaron and Moses conversation with Claire and Echo and how it relates to him and his brother. It just went right past me the first time I watched the show. I was just all about what was actually going on the island and not really reading too much into the show, I guess. I think that's about all I got. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.
I love Des. I love that guy so much.
That was really nice words too about how we made him. We pricked him up and stuff. I don't remember. It was 2 weeks ago. I know we weren't drinking, but apparently
we record in mid-morning. So.
I swear, sometimes you would think we're drinking.
Yeah, I think that was the one. That was the time when we were both little punch happy. We were on the phone. I think we were on the phone for like an hour before we actually started recording. But we were like going off about something, and it carried over. We had trouble starting that podcast because we couldn't stop laughing. So, yeah.
What were we talking about? I don't even remember.
I don't know.
But you're right. We were a little punch drunk. Before we started, and I can't. Yeah, and we had to calm down. I can't remember what it was.
I think it took more than one try to start.
I think you're right. Yeah. I remember. But thanks for those nice words, Des. That was
nice.
That was really.
You know what?
That means a lot.
I forgot that was about that conversation between Claire and Echo. I loved that Claire sat with Echo. I just thought that was a really nice little scene, and Echo's just kind of carving his Jesus stick, and she introduces Aaron, and it was really nice to see his ears kind of perk up. Like, he seems to really enjoy giving Bible knowledge out. He did that with Locke, and now he's done that with Claire. And I love it that he said, the importance kind of Aaron versus Moses, and how Moses had trouble speaking, and Aaron spoke for Moses, and he was a very important man. And I wonder if that was going to go anywhere and just didn't in the story. Because it seemed, they took the time to write that scene. They took the time to film it. So if maybe Steve, who knows his Bible inside and out, has something to say about that maybe I missed, because I was trying to find meaning in that scene when I was watching it.
Maybe. I think it's interesting too that it's again making the comparison between Echo and Locke. This is another character that Claire has kind of found comfort in. She did the same thing with Locke, and she kind of finds a little bit of solace and comfort with Echo at the same time.
Mm-hmm. And both Locke and Echo are directly involved in Charlie's heroin journey.
Yeah. I don't even think it's just heroin journey. I think it's his character. His journey as a character.
Each time Locke's the one that knew about the statues and helped to make the decision about the statues in a previous episode, and now Echo gave him the statue and pretty much gave him the same decision here. This is for the one that I lost. Locke said, I'll give you your drugs if you ask for it 3 times.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot about the asking 3 times thing.
So
yeah, that's interesting. And the other final point too I want to make too before we move on to Steve's voicemail that Des made was the whole using heroin in like a medical way. That's a really good point. Heroin was used almost as a medicine in the early days. I think you're right. I think given the druthers that they're in and the situation that they're in, Jack probably could have used it in some way.
I think didn't he use it at some point?
Maybe he does, but I don't think he has yet.
No. But I think he does in the future. I could be totally wrong. I just have a memory of that, but it could have been another show.
Maybe, but yeah, I think it's really interesting that he brought that up, because that's something I never even really considered until then.
Yeah.
All right. We have our voicemail from our buddy Steve Brown, so let's go ahead and play that one now.
Hello, Ben and Kristen. This is Steve, and this is for 23rd Psalm from Lost. And quick question: did anyone ever ask Echo why he knew about the heroin, or are we assuming that when we're seeing these flashbacks, is the character telling the other character the story, or are we just seeing it in the character's mind? Because that seems like that would have been a question that Charlie would have asked. How do you know? How did you know about the heroin? But the other thing is Locke teaching Michael how to shoot was very reminiscent of Locke showing Walt how to throw knives, and Michael getting so angry. And I had forgotten about Echo's encounter with the smoke monster in this episode, so that was kind of cool, a little foreshadowing there of what's to come. And I guess we get more of Echo's backstory, I think. I don't remember what episode it is, but I know we learn more about what happened after he left the airfield there. And Charlie having more of the statues, I had forgotten about that as well. So I think we're starting to see the beginning of Charlie's descent kind of back into some darkness that we're going to see over the next several episodes. But of course, as we know the end of the story, we know that he does redeem himself eventually in Claire's eyes and in the viewer's eyes. So really cool episode. A lot of just singular backstory. Not a lot of Jack's the worst. And the little montage at the end, we got to see the beginning of the Hurley-Libby relationship. We get to see, Jen and Son bring the fish to Ana Lucia, kind of bringing her into the group. So that's all nice. And of course, get a little bit more of Michael on the computer. I think that's it for this week. Talk to you later.
I love it that he ends every episode with "Talk to you later."
Yep. Yeah, every single time.
It makes me happy.
Yeah, we do get another, as we talked about it a little bit already. We do get more backstory in the cost of in the form of Echo. I don't think it's until next season though. I think it's at the beginning of next season. We do get another flashback. I think it's the cost of living is the episode, and I think that's actually right before his fate is sealed. So,
Well, he has a backstory episode in the question mark episode too.
oh, so then maybe we're gonna get another one before the end of this season, as well.
Yay!
So okay, so there's 3 episodes of Mr. Echo, and that question mark episode is another fantastic episode.
Agreed.
So yeah, and I think that's towards the end of the season. God, the more I think about it, like I absolutely love season 2. I think season 2 is one of the strongest seasons of this show.
Season 2 was my favorite.
And just like we're getting, as we approach closer and closer to the season finale of this season. I know we still got a ways to go. We're only on episode 10, and there's 23 episodes of this season. So
Yay, normal TV.
yes. So we still got a ways to go before we get to the finale. But God, the finale of this season is so good.
The whole show is good.
Yeah.
But yeah, I totally agree. What did Steve say that I thought was interesting, and now it's totally out of my head?
I know. I kind of went away from it too, and now I forget.
Sorry, Steve.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. There was something that I really wanted to say too, and usually I write it down, and I was eating a jelly bean, so I'm sorry.
I apologize because I kind of talked over it too, so it might be my fault that you forgot.
That's okay. That's okay. But I love the feedback. I love Steve, you know my heart for you when it comes to House Podcastica, and I love it that I get to hear your feedback on this podcast too. It's really fun. I feel like I'm always hanging out with my buddy Steve.
Well, you know what? On that note, thanks, Steve, for the feedback, and of course, Des, and we look forward to any feedback we get from anybody else. But on that note, too, when you talk about doing, talking and hanging out with your buddy Steve, I actually got the opportunity to record a podcast with Steve.
You did. You did the Captain Marvel one.
I did. I did the Captain Marvel review with the Panels to Pixels podcast for Next Level with Steve and our buddy Mark Kirkman.
I haven't listened to that yet, but I can't wait to. It's queued up.
And it was a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun talking about Captain Marvel as well as some of the other Marvel Universe films and the future of what we believe the Marvel Universe, the MCU has. So, Panels to Pixels, part of the Next Level Podcast Network. That was the most recent episode, and that was a lot of fun.
That's awesome. Steve is really, really great. He's got great insight, good analysis. I love it that he's always asking questions. He's a first-time viewer for Game of Thrones on House Podcastica, and a lot of times with his feedback, he'll ask a couple of questions that, me knowing the whole story, I think is just so incredibly insightful, and it just proves that he's got a really good eye and mind for television, and I appreciate that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Agree with that completely. I love the fact that when he leaves us feedback every week, and it's just a pleasure to listen to it, because it's even he's watched. He's not a first time viewer of Lost, but in some ways he kind of is, because he's adapted a new attitude towards it. He was one of those people that believed that the writers didn't know where they were going with it. And
that's right.
They didn't have a story planned out, and he's starting to come around to our way of thinking of one of us, that he, he believes they really did, because when we break it down and such, and we kind of put spotlight on a number of things, he's mentioned a number of times, I really do think they had a plan. So he's watching it in a whole new light now because of this. So while not a first-time viewer, he's watching it it's his first time watching it in a different way. So, which he brings great insight because of that as well. So, but on top of Panels to Pixels and as well as this podcast, we encourage you always to check out some of the other great podcasts on both the Next Level and Podcastica Podcast Network. As you mentioned, House Podcastica, you guys are gearing up because we're only a couple weeks away from Game of Thrones, the final season of Game of Thrones.
Yes, I'm so excited. I'm sorry. I just went like super high pitched and I don't even care.
And-
It's less than a month away. I can't even wait.
I think 25 days from right now, which is the day we're recording. So by the time you're hearing this, like only 23 days, like a little bit less than two, like a little bit over 3 weeks.
Ooh, it just got all sweaty. I'm so excited.
And I have done so far so well at avoiding everything about season 8. The only thing I know about season 8 are the day it premieres, the dates the episodes air, and the run times. That's
that's
it.
all I know.
I haven't looked at any images. I haven't watched any trailers.
And let me tell you how impossible that is.
It's hard.
Okay? It is so hard. It is so fucking hard that I can't even. I go and because I have to pull a clip for the audio at the beginning of every episode that we cover, right? And so I go to YouTube and I punch in the exact title of the show, exact title, and the person and like I put in like Jon Snow, spoils of war, like that's it, right? And then I put my right hand up to the right hand side of YouTube, right, of my computer screen,
So you can't see the other videos?
so I can't see a fucking thing. And I was reading an article the other day about something. About a wall that is the inspiration off of the wall for Game of Thrones, and a pop-up appears and it's watch season 8 trailer now, and it's going into autoplay, and I promise you I almost threw my phone against the wall. Like I was just like, what is happening? I went into full panic mode. So yeah, I haven't either. I haven't watched anything, and it's so fucking hard when you have a podcast dedicated to the show.
Yeah, it's very difficult. I don't have a podcast dedicated to the show, and it's still difficult
It's so hard.
for me to do it. But yeah, it's
Gonna be worth it.
Yeah, it's getting close, man. It's getting so close. And it's gonna be so bittersweet when it ends. But you know,
But then it'll be over, and we can watch anything we want whenever we want, and never be spoiled again.
I
Yay!
know. 3 weeks from it beginning and 9 weeks from it ending, and it's.
Oh, come on,
I
man.
know, sorry.
That was a low blow.
I know, sorry.
Golly.
On top of
Darkness over there.
I'm not. No, what is it? I'm the angel of death in our group.
Yeah, he is. Well, talk about your no. DC Prime is kind of in full swing right now, isn't it?
Well, DC Primetime is in full swing because of all the shows currently being back, with the exception of Legends of Tomorrow, which debuts in about 2 weeks. But we're developing something really cool for the summer for DC Primetime, in that we're 5 years into doing 4 years into 4 or 5 years. I can't remember.
5 years, 4 years.
I think it's 4
5.
years. 4 years into doing this podcast. We've been doing it for 4 years. So we're starting something new this summer, in that we are doing what we call our Primer Awards. We call our listeners primers for DC Primetime. So
That's adorable.
we call them primers, and we're doing what we're calling the Primer Awards this summer, in which we're going to do, best episode of the season, best character plot, best action sequence. So, and it's going to be purely for the listeners. We're going to let them make the nominations. We're going to make a couple ourselves, but it's going to be purely nominations by the listeners, and it's going to be voted on by the listeners. And
Fun.
I'm already in talks with one of our celebrity friends to come in and not just be a guest, but be a co-host of the awards as well, to announce the winners of all the categories, which is going to be a lot of fun.
I can guess who it is.
Really? Who do you think it is?
It's that Flash guy.
It is. It's John
I
Wesley
know.
Shipp.
See, I'm real good at this game.
He's my buddy. He's my buddy now. If you would have told me, if you would have told 10-year-old me back in the 90s watching that completely dated 90s version of The Flash, but as a 10-year-old loving it, that one day you would be friends with that actor, you'd be friends with The Flash, I would have kicked you in the nuts.
Okay.
Because I did that a lot as a kid.
I don't think I would have been your friend.
No, I wouldn't have believed you at all. But it's very cool that at this point in my life I actually get to call John a friend, and just the fact that he's going to be at Six Flags Great Adventure in May. doing an appearance, and when I told him, that that's in my vicinity, he basically said, "Well, you better be there." And he said, because when you show up, we're gonna ride the Justice League ride together.
Cool.
I geeked out so hard. I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna get to ride the Justice League ride with the Flash. Like, this is amazing.
That's like if somebody were to tell me that I would be friends with Keanu Reeves ever.
Well, it's funny that you bring that up because
Love him.
They just made an announcement today about Bill and Ted 3.
I know that they're filming.
Yes, they actually just started production. I think today was the first day.
I'm so excited.
I know, I can't wait.
Wild Stallions.
Go ahead.
I do want to talk about. I don't know if you were just about to plug them, but you have a brand new podcast on your network that is very near and dear to my heart.
That's exactly what I was going to plug.
Oh, cool. Okay. Well, can I plug it?
Sure.
So on the Next Level Network right now is a brand new podcast called Another Piece of the Puzzle. And it is our friends Avelino, Christina, and Erica. And they are parents. And I believe Erica is also a therapist, or she works in the field. But they are doing a podcast on raising kids on the autism spectrum. And it is wonderful. They've done 2 episodes so far. They're officially on iTunes, Google Play, and Spotify. And I highly recommend you subscribe and check them out. Avelino and Christina, particularly, are 2 incredibly close friends of mine. And I've watched the 2 of them grow close on their journey with their respective children and kind of what they've gone through as parents of children on the spectrum. And I'm so glad that they finally get this outlet to share their experiences and to also help anybody that may be struggling with kind of where to go and who they can talk to and what they can do if you're a family with a special needs kid, because I know it can be insanely isolating as a parent and as a family, especially when your world has kind of been locked up tight. So please check it out. Another Piece of the Puzzle. You'll enjoy it.
Yeah, it's what I'm enjoying about it too is the fact that, well, not necessarily enjoying about it, but what I'm really loving about having this podcast on the network is that for the most part, every other podcast on the network is, pop culture related. It's, geeking out about things and stuff like that. This is more of a health and wellness and educational podcast too. So it's a bit of a departure from what we offer on Next Level, but I love the fact that we're adding content like this to the podcast, and the fact that, as you mentioned, it is friends of ours that are doing this.
Incredible people. They are incredible people.
Yeah.
I cannot say enough good things. I don't know Erica very well, but what I do know of her, she is incredibly kind, and I think that she works in the Rocky Horror Picture Show, which I think is really cool. But Christina and Avelino are 2 people that are very, very, very close to my heart, and I'm just incredibly proud of them and happy for them.
Yeah, I didn't even, it was something I didn't even hesitate when it came to adding them to the network. I'm
so happy that you did that. I really am. That's exciting. Yay. I was going to ask you to do it anyways.
What, to add it to the network?
Yeah, man.
I was going to do it. There was no question about it. No question about it.
And lastly, I do want to say, just real quick before we end things, is that Mr. Echo Adewale Munamana, I don't know how to say his name.
I thought you said you were going to leave it to me to do it.
I was, but I got excited.
Say it again, please.
Adewale Unamama.
Well, you got the first name right.
Adewale Unamama.
It's Adewale Akinyo.
I said that.
No, okay.
Hey, French it up.
Adewale Onomatopoeia.
Anyways, he has a new show out called The Fix. It's on ABC, and there's 1 episode out, and Ben and I are going to check it out, and we may replace our Manifest minutes with it if it turns out to be any good.
Yeah, we're gonna check it out this week, and we'll probably do a quick review of it next week at least.
Why not?
Yeah. So, but
Give you
yeah, but on the note of next week as well, Hunting Party is the next episode 11 of season 2, and it is going to be the return of Jack is the Worst, because it is a Jack backstory.
at a low point in his marriage.
Is it? I don't remember. Oh, I don't remember what
in
the backstory
flashbacks,
is.
we see Jack at a low point in his marriage,
Oh, God.
otherwise known as Jack's life.
Yeah. That one took me a second. Otherwise known as Jack's life.
That one was for Des.
That's brilliant. But as always, we thank you guys for being listeners. We encourage you guys to leave that feedback. And thank you for just being a part of this awesome journey that we're taking back down the Lost Road. But until next time, we'll see you guys further on down that rabbit hole. Take care.
Oh, da foof.
We have to go back, Kate. We have to go back!